Good morning and welcome back. In this video, we shall discuss Isbp for air transport document, International Standard Banking Practice for air transport document. We shall discuss paragraphs H1 to H27 on Isbp publication 745. When is this applicable? The Article 23 of UCP is applicable when the credit has a requirement for an air transport document. It can be however named, either airway bill or air consignment note or whatever. When the credit calls for an airport-to-airport shipment or a credit calls for an air transport document, then Article 23 is applicable. It need not be titled as airway bill or air consignment note. It can be however named. Issuance, carrier and identification. The air transport document may be issued by any entity other than carrier. The UCP says it has to be issued by carrier or as agents for carrier. The Isbp says it can be issued by any party other than carrier, provided it meets the requirements of Article 23, which means it has to be signed as carrier or for and on behalf of carrier. When the credit indicates freight forwarder's airway bill acceptable or house airway bill acceptable, there are two things. One is called master airway bill and one is house airway bill. When the credit indicates that freight forwarder's airway bill or a house airway bill is acceptable, then it can be signed by any entity. There is no need to mention the name of the carrier. There is no need to mention the capacity of the signatory. When the credit indicates freight forwarders or a house airway bill not acceptable, then it has no meaning with respect to the title, format, content of signing. So when the words freight forwarders airway bill not acceptable is mentioned in the credit, Isbp and UCP does not help us understand what is the title, format, content or signing required for an acceptable document. So what happens? The credit has to indicate how the document has to be issued and signed. And so if the credit does not indicate this and just says not acceptable, then the examination of document will be subject to Article 23. The signature on the air transport document should be subject to 23A1 of UCP. If it is signed by a branch, it will be considered as a signature of the carrier. Carrier is to be identified by name, not an IATA airline code. You have to write not BA but British Airways. The agent signs for and on behalf of the carrier. If an agent signs for and on behalf of the carrier, agent is to be named, carrier is to be identified. Agent is to be named, carrier is to be identified, and indicate the representative capacity. That is, as agent for carrier should be mentioned. The air transport document should indicate goods have been accepted for carriage. Air transport document should indicate goods have been accepted to carriage, and this receipt of goods can be by carrier or by as agents for carrier. It should indicate the date of issuance of the air transport document. This date will be considered as a shipment date unless there is a specific notation of actual date of shipment. Now, there is an onboard notation concept in a BL. In an air transport document, there is a notation, but it is not exactly the onboard notation of a sea shipment. But information mentioned in for carrier use only, required flight or routing and destination will be disregarded. Information when it is mentioned in carrier use only, required flight or requested flight or routing destination will be disregarded. But when there is a specific notation of actual date of shipment, such date of shipment will be considered as date of issuance of the transport document. And from such a date, the period of presentation and the tenor and other things will be calculated. Also, the last date for shipment will be calculated from such a notation on the air transport document. Airports. Air transport document to indicate the airports as stated in the credit. Airport of departure and airport of destination. The airport of departure, airport of destination should be indicated in the air transport document, and that should be as stated in the credit. It may be indicated by IATA codes, which means for Bombay you can write BOM, for Riyadh you can write RUH, and for New Delhi NDH you can write, or Chennai MAA you can write. All those things could be there. The air transport document to indicate the actual airport of departure and actual airport of destination within a given range. If it says any airport in India to any airport in Pakistan, then the actual airport should be mentioned in the air transport document within the given range. The country need not be mentioned because IATA codes are permissible here and IATA codes are unique across the world. The air transport document presented should appear to be original for the consignor or shipper. The concept of full set does not apply here because normally it is issued in threefold. with the third copy or the copy 3 called being the shipper's copy or the consignor copy. It is called shipper's copy or consignor copy. It is technically not an original, but it will be accepted as an original as long as it is the shipper's original or the consignor copy. Original for consignor or shipper acceptable in lieu of original for consignor or shipper. So when original is called for, original for consignor or original shipper is acceptable. Why we call for the shipper's copy? Because in an air transport document is not a negotiable instrument. It does not allow transfer of title by endorsement and delivery. So to have a control over the goods, we call for two things. One, the issuing bank will say it has to be consigned in my favor or to my order, though to order doesn't have much significance. And it will also, the issuing bank will also say the consignor copy or the shipper copy should be given to me, so that shipper doesn't have his own copy. So shipper doesn't have control over the carrier to reroute the goods to a different port or to a different party or to recall the goods. Consignee. When the credit requires consent to order of a named entity, air transport document may indicate consent to that entity. For the other transport documents, we have seen when state consignment is asked for, to order should not be there. When to order is asked for, state should not be there. But here we find that when to order is asked for, it can be consigned straight. Why? To order does not add value because it is not negotiable. Without mentioning the word to order is acceptable. When the credit requires consent to order without naming the entity, when it is a named entity, it can be straight to entity. Without naming entity, then the transport document can indicate issuing bank or applicant. Consigned to issuing bank or applicant, not to order. It is to issuing bank or applicant. Why? To order does not add value. Need not indicate the words to order. When credit stipulates details of one or more notified party, transport document can indicate any number of notified parties, in addition to what is mentioned here. When credit does not stipulate a notified party, transport document may indicate applicant as a notified party. And if applicant is mentioned as a notified party, the details should not conflict with the credit. Otherwise, any party in any manner can be mentioned. When the transport document is consigned to the issuing bank or the applicant or notify issuing bank or applicant, then the air transport document indicate the name of the issuing bank and the applicant as applicable. And the address and contact details need not be mentioned, and if mentioned should not be conflict with the credit. Address and contact details need not be mentioned. If mentioned, need not conflict with the credit. Should not conflict with the credit. Need not be mentioned and should not conflict with the credit. Address and contact details should not conflict with the what is mentioned in the credit. If mentioned in the air transport document. Regarding transshipment, the definition of transshipment is that unloading and reloading of goods from one aircraft to another. If it is from one aircraft to another truck, it will become multimodal. If from one aircraft to another is transshipment, provided it happens during the carriage from the departure airport to the destination airport stated in the credit. If the credit says goods are being transshipped outside these ports, then it is not considered as transshipment. Partial shipment. Dispatch on more than one aircraft is partial shipment. Dispatch on more than one aircraft is partial shipment even if the aircraft leave to the same destination on the same day. Credit prohibits partial shipment. If the credit prohibits partial shipment, more than one air transport document is considered as partial shipment. So how to prevent this problem of more than one airport transport document called as partial shipment? Then the air transport documents presented, the more than one presented should indicate the goods are being carried by the same aircraft on the same date, on the same voyage, for the same destination, on the same day. So flight number 1033 may be flying from airport A to airport B today. The same flight will fly from airport A to airport B tomorrow with the same number. So indicating that flight number and indicating these ports will not make it a non-partial shipment. Multiple transport documents should indicate that the goods are being carried on the same aircraft on the same day for the same destination. Otherwise, it will become partial shipment. If air transport document indicate different dates of dispatch, then latest of the dates will be considered for period of shipment and the last date for shipment when credit prohibits partial shipment. When partial shipment is allowed and if more than one dates are mentioned in the transport document and multiple transport documents are given, the earliest of these dates will be considered for presentation period and the earliest date will be considered for last date for shipment. This is when multiple dates are mentioned. In air transport transport document, when credit prohibits partial shipment, multiple dates in air transport document is possible, and still it will not be partial shipment when maybe because of the flight will start at one airport on maybe 11 o'clock in the night. When it reaches the next airport, it will become 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, it will become the next day. So, but as long as the goods are carried on the same transport document, on the same aircraft, on the same voyage, then on the same voyage or the same what do we call trip or flight, then as long as it leaves for the same destination, it will not be considered as partial shipment. Regarding clean, air transport document not include a clause which declares an express defective condition of goods or packaging, and word clean need not necessarily be appear. Deletion of word clean does not make it defective. Goods can be described in any form, need not correspond with or need not be mirror image of the credit, but it should be not in conflict with the credit or any other document. Corrections has to be authenticated by the issuer of the air transport document, that is the carrier or any agent acting on behalf of the carrier, not necessarily the same agent who issued the transport document. Copies need not be authenticated. Freight and additional cost. When air transport document is indicating payment of freight, then it need not be identical to what is indicated in the credit. When the credit says freight prepaid, the air transport document need not use the word freight prepaid, but it can use the words like freight paid at the loading port and things like that. Air transport document may contain separate boxes for freight charges like prepaid and freight charges collect. Air transport document may have boxes for freight prepaid and freight collect, and when something is mentioned in such a boxes, it will be considered as mentioning freight has been collected or freight has been prepaid. It will be fulfilled by an indication of the freight charges under the heading freight charges prepaid. If freight has been prepaid, if freight has been to be collected at destination, then fulfilled by an indication of the freight charges under the heading freight charges collect. So if something is mentioned under freight charges prepaid or freight charges collect, it will be considered as a freight collect and freight prepaid, because that is the style of the industry in air transport documents. When credit indicates cost additional to freight is not acceptable, then air transport document not indicate that cost additional to freight will be incurred or has been incurred. And reference to cost additional to freight may be by means of an indication of additional cost, or delay in unloading, or delay in the after the goods have been unloaded. These three are types of cost which are not considered as cost additional to freight. The concept of detention charge and demurrage charge does not normally appear here, because it is normally occurring in seaports. So these are the explanations given to the UCP article on air transport document by Isbp. We shall meet again on another session on another transport document. Thanks for watching this video. Please keep